How did you start producing this program?
Was actually an end result of a long history of work doing dance and working with dancers with disabilities. I started many years ago working with wheelchair dance companies and produced an international wheelchair dance festival. And this is an outgrowth and a continuation of my commitment to be an advocate for this form of dance. People who have differences, who travel through their daily life, being looked at inside of their eye, or having parents tell their children not to stare. And in this context, in a theatrical context, in a darkened room, audience without a fear of being embarrassed or given the permission to stare. And that alone, I think, changes the relationship. It helps to bring down some of those misunderstandings.
How did you get the idea for GIMP?
Jeremy Alliger introduced me to Lisa Bufano, who is an artist, who's also a bilateral amputee. And I had a 6-month period with her that was so fascinating that I decided to use other people who have very different limbs than mine and see what I could come up with. And so it was originally called From the Limb, and then Lawrence was wearing a t-shirt that said GIMP, and he started telling me what GIMP meant, and then we decided to call the show GIMP.
GIMP means many things, you know. The one that people are most familiar with probably is one who limps or hobbles, right? And if you see the way that I walk, that's pretty accurate, right?
Right.
And then another is interwoven fabric. It's like those little bracelets that people used to make at summer camp. Another is fighting spirit or vigor, right? And that's an old definition from the Old English Dictionary that's fallen out of use. And another one is trembling with ecstasy. So there are all kinds of different definitions of the word GIMP, and we're trying to bring them all into the show.
I've just got to tell you, I've been watching you. We've been watching you for the last 20, 25 minutes or so, and I don't know about them, but I think you're beautiful. I think you're really beautiful. Absolutely stunning. I was told this would be an incredible experience, but never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined this.
How did you get involved with GIMP?
Well, you know, I was a friend of Heidi's that were working on a piece called 5 Open Mouths a couple of years ago. And Heidi saw the way that I walk. I have cerebral palsy. And she said, I'd like to work with you. She liked the way that I moved. And so I said, okay, you know, I'd seen her work before and I thought it was very impressive. So I was equally thrilled and terrified when she asked me. Thrilled because I'd seen her work, and terrified because I'd never danced before. And I knew that she wasn't going to take any slack, that she was going to push me as hard as she pushed anybody else.
Do you ever get nervous?
I get nervous every time I go out on stage, every time I go off stage. Yeah, I think, you know, performers will tell you, actors, dancers, all of the above, that if you don't feel nervous, that you don't care. So I think it's a good thing that you feel nervous because it means it matters to you, and hopefully the audience will pick up on that.
What's your favorite part of the show?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many great parts in the show. I think I like dancing with Catherine when we do I Like the Way You Move.
How did you get involved with GIMP?
Well, I've been doing dance and performance for about 6 years in England, and I got to know Lawrence about just over 2 years ago and started visiting him whilst he was rehearsing. After just attending the rehearsals, and Heidi asked me if I'd get involved, and I was interested in working with Lawrence, and she was going to make a duet for the two of us, and that was initially where it started, but I sort of started getting involved in the whole piece.
I'm Heidi's associate director, so I started the process with her and been dancing with Heidi for like 9 years. So I've been there a long time.
How long have you been dancing?
Oh, a long time. Let's see. I started when I was 8, and I'm going to be 40 this year. So
Oh,
30 some odd years. I'm pretty old when it comes to dancers.
What's your favorite part of the show?
I have 2 favorite parts. One is when Lawrence and I do 2 men walking, and we have a whole section where we're fighting, and then we come together and we're very supportive of each other. And then my second section is the duet with Leslie, where it's very sensual and sexy.
How did you get involved with GIMP?
Well, I'm a performance artist in New York, and Heidi came to a show that I was at. Went and saw the work that Lisa Bufano did. She's someone that worked with GIMP earlier, and I was so excited by the work that they made together. I wanted to be a part of it.
Do you ever get nervous when you dance?
Totally. I'm so nervous. But I have learned to kind of take deep breaths and get really grounded, and sort of find my place of comfort and peace inside my body, and to try to deal with nerves that way. But sometimes, do you ever get nervous when you're doing interviews?
Not really. I don't get nervous when I interview.
All right. Well, when I get nervous, sometimes it helps my performance, You can sort of ride the wave of that energy.
Right. Do you feel proud of yourself when you dance?
For sure. For sure. It's a real honor that people come to the show and that you all are interested. And I feel like I'm performing for my community of disabled people. And it makes me feel proud to be able to share that with people that are, important to me, that I want to build with and have community with.
What is so important about the sensuality of the show?
What do you mean by sensuality? Do you mean all the sexy parts?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah? Well, what I think is important about the sexy parts is that sometimes as disabled people, people assume, able-bodied people, assume that that disabled people aren't sexy, or that we don't have sex, or that sensuality isn't part of our lives and our bodies. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important. It's a kind of a radical act as a person with a body that looks deformed, right? That a lot of times people stare at your body if it looks different, or if you act different, or if you move different. And I think it's really important to explore sensuality and sexuality as a disabled person, as part of our political project.
In our society, if you use the words dance and disability in the same sentence, people don't understand that they don't belong together. They don't see them as part of the same thing. Or people think of less than, or not as good. This piece is about reshaping and challenging people's perceptions about dance, disability, and body image. And it's really a crash collision of 2 worlds that people think shouldn't ever come together. So we're challenging those perceptions.
People with disabilities aren't often encouraged to move. We're not encouraged to dance. And we want to say everybody can dance in the body that they've got. So we want to put it all out there. Sometimes you're angry, sometimes you need support, sometimes you're feeling a little sexy. So we're doing all of that, and we're showing people sides of ourselves that you don't normally get to see.
I get to sit here every night and watch these incredible artists give back to the audience and give their souls and watch people change and impacted and leave the theater thinking differently about dance, disability, and just having a wonderful artistic experience. So I get to just sit back and watch that. That's my pleasure.
I hope that people go out and they question how they perceive people with disabilities, how they perceive people without disabilities, and why they have those perceptions. And I hope they change their perceptions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Yay, I'm so excited.